are so underrated. The more that I read about them, the more that I learn about them, the more I want to know. They're incredibly charismatic, but they're also really threatened. I'm Joni Pini-Fitzsimmons and I'm doing my PhD at Macquarie University in the fish lab. And I study the behaviour and movements of stingrays. The thing is that we know very little about them. They face a lot of threats from human activity, like fishing gear, and they're also really important in coastal ecosystems. They have these particular traits which make them susceptible to threats. So they tend to be slow growing, they reach maturity quite late in their life. When they do reproduce, they only have very few pups that take a really long time to develop. The Stingray Diaries is my PhD research, and in particular we're looking at their interactions with humans and their interactions with fishermen. So in a lot of places fishermen will cut up their fish and they'll feed the scraps to the stingrays, and nobody's actually looked at whether this is causing shifts in their movements or their foraging behaviour and things like this. So for this research we're using a whole range of different technologies. The main one that we're using is acoustic telemetry, which is where we attach a small acoustic tag to the stingrays that we can follow their movements and see where their hotspots of activity are and if it relates to this fish cleaning activity that we're seeing. The stingrays are using these areas where they're getting fed a lot more often than other areas, and the rays tend to congregate at these areas where there's a chance of getting a free feed. We don't really know enough to know whether this is having an impact on their behaviour or their natural movement patterns, but it provides us with a baseline that we can base monitoring on into the future to see if in the long term this activity is affecting them.